All right, if you would, come on in and grab a seat. If you're out in the foyer, come on in, guys and gals. We'll still have coffee and donuts at the break, so rest assured. And good morning, everybody. Welcome back for our second day of our 8-hour update, formerly known as the 8-hour update, now known as the 12-hour update. So today, just to go back over with you, we're happy to have Department of Homeland Security, Michael Schulten, is that correct? Is here with us today for a presentation. And then also we've got Operation Lifesaver. The railroad will be here to go over railroad crossings and railroad safety, and then we've got some stuff in between, so I look forward to that. So without any further delay, if you would, help me to welcome Mr. Schulten here with the Department of Homeland Security.
Thank you, sir. All right, good morning. Now I'm going to start off by making your videographer mad because he's probably got his camera pointed right at this podium, but this is probably the last time I'll be at this podium. So I am going to walk around through the room and talk to you. So Homeland Security in Laurel County, Kentucky, what can we do? I don't know, but we're going to go through a little presentation for you, and maybe we can decide together what we can do to assist you as a bus driver. Now, with Homeland Security, our division in transportation, we deal with all modes of transportation. We deal with pretty much anything that doesn't fly. If it's an airplane, airports, they take care of that totally separate. But we deal with trucks, trains, buses, pipeline, chemical facilities, all different modes of transportation. Some of it we regulate. Entities like you, we do not. But we have programs in place that we offer at no charge to your school system to maybe try to help you out a little bit. So a little bit of my background, I've been with Homeland Security for 22 years. I spent about 15 plus years working for an airline, spent a few years working in the casinos. My partner in the back, he's got 20 years in the Marine Corps, a few years with a defense contractor, and then been with us at Homeland Security for 18 plus years. So I say that when I talk about military, casinos, defense departments, airports, pretty secure places. How about your school bus? Pretty secure place, right? Now, what kind of security do you have on your school bus? You, the driver. The driver. If you're lucky enough to have a monitor, that's an extra set of eyes. What else you have? Some people say cameras. Unless you're one of the very few school districts in the country, all that camera does is tell them what happened. There's nobody looking at a live feed. All they can do is see what happened after the fact. So you might have a radio. Hopefully somebody would hear that radio, or you wouldn't be in a dead spot. Or your cell phone would maybe work. So you've got you, and pretty much you got the door. So when you pull up to your stop, and you've got students to get on, after you stop, you turn off half your security and open the door. So I want to talk about security awareness. And if I say that, what is security awareness? Now, I mentioned 15 years working for an airline, so I've been around jet engines and I don't hear as well. But I know I hear enough that I'm not hearing anything. So what does it mean? What is security awareness? Know what's going on. What's happening around you. It's a mindset. what's going on around you, being aware of your surroundings. This is your environment, school bus. So what do? You get to know everything about your school bus. You know more about a bus than I do. I saw buses out in this parking lot. I guarantee I could walk on one of them and something would look out of place or odd to me. You see it every day. So you know what should be there and what shouldn't. I tried to get a book so I could learn more about school buses, but all it told me was that the wheels on the bus go round and round. So, you know the bus. Anybody ever lift the hood on their bus? Say yes, because you're supposed to. All right. Now, you don't have to know what everything under that hood does, how it operates, but hopefully you will know if what is there is supposed to be there. So that when you're looking every day, if something was added, it would stand out to you. So you could maybe question it. Hey, why is this piece cleaner than the rest of it? Did maintenance do something with my bus? What is this? I don't remember ever seeing this before. So you pay attention to what's going on around you.
Here's your challenge. How many riders in green jump the ramps? How many riders in green jump the ramps? Go. Go.
'Okay, how many in green jump the ramp? 4, 6, I heard 7. 5. 1, 2. Did you all count or y'all just throwing out numbers? All right, so we got a bunch of different numbers. Well, what else did you notice? Somebody put a backpack by the trash can. Anybody see that? Or anybody else see that since somebody hollered it out? What else did you see? Well, let's look at it. It's only 30 seconds.
Here's your challenge. How many riders in green jump the ramps? Go. Five riders in green jump the ramps. But did you notice the unicyclist? How about the hidden message? Did you see that? Did you notice the man dropping the suspicious backpack? Your next challenge, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Now, when they slow it down, it's pretty easy to see a unicycle and to read what's on their shirts. See somebody set a bag by the garbage can. Wonder why you didn't see it the first time. And why were you focused on the green shirts? Because you did exactly what I told you to do. So if when you show up for the first day of school and you get a route, that's what they're telling you to do, right? This is your route. So that's all you're going to do, right? You're going to go to stop 1, stop 2, stop 3. That's all you're doing, right? Simple. You only have one thing to do. No. Everybody outside of this room thinks you only do one thing, but you've got all kinds of stuff going on. I sit in some of these things and I hear them talking about some of their safety stuff, and just coming to a stop, you've got like 4 or 5 things you got to do just to come to a stop, right? Turn the lights on at this time, do this, do that, set the brakes. So you have to pay attention to everything that's going on around you. But don't get to the focusing on the green shirts and getting the tunnel vision. First day of school, it's easy. to pay attention to everything going on around you. But the Friday before spring break, you got a tendency to just like, it's the same thing I've been doing every day for months. So pay attention to what's going on around you.
Here's your challenge. How many people in orange shirts get subs? Go.
Okay, how many? 7, 8, 9, 6. You're still just throwing numbers out, right? Okay, then. What else did you see? Backpack. What else? Anything? Just because I had a bag in the last one, all you looked for was a bag in this one. What else did you see? Well, let's try again. Some of you might want to recount.
Here's your challenge. How many people in orange shirts get subs? Go. 7 people in orange shirts got subs. But what else did you see? Did you notice the ice cream truck change to a pizza truck? Did you notice the glasses? What about the man leaving the suspicious package next to the truck? Your next challenge, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Now, I just kind of put these videos in just to prove a point of how easy it is to become hyper-focused on one thing. So as you're pulling up to a stop, you may be just focused on who's standing there at the stop and not who's across the street, who's out in front of you, who's behind you. So you pay attention to what's going on around you. Okay, so 2 videos, both of them had somebody leave a bag. Anybody ever leave anything on your bus? No? Every day. Every day. Somebody leaves a backpack on your bus, what do you do with it? What was that? What's that? Keep it till the next day. Okay. So, what I'm hearing is you don't really have a policy on what you do with stuff found on your bus. Maybe it's up to your discretion of what you do. Maybe, maybe not. But I go to schools all across the state, and I can tell you that everybody does stuff different, and I don't know of any one place that everybody does the same thing. So, if I wanted to put something bad on your bus, and I practice beforehand and just put a regular bag on your bus, just to watch to see what you would do. And I would watch, and I'm like, okay, he keeps it on his bus. So I can wait till later in the day when it's full as opposed to when it's empty. She took it into the school, wanting to get it back to whoever left it. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe now if I put something on her bus, she'll deliver it into school for me. So there's a difference between something that's unattended and something that's suspicious. You drive the same bus pretty much every day, don't you? So if you park it on Monday and you do a post-trip check, right? Say yes, because you're supposed to. If you know on Monday
It is also not
that there wasn't
correlated
anything on your
to
bus and you
suspicious
show up Tuesday
circumstances, such as
and
a
you do a
threat that has been
pre-trip, right?
received or an item that is out of place.
and there's a bag on your bus,
In contrast, a suspicious item
that
is
be
anything
unattended
such
or
as a package
suspicious?
or vehicle that has indications
Suspicious.
that it might contain
so
an
do you still
explosive
want to take it
device
into the school?
or
Do you
hazardous
still want to
material.
keep it on your bus till
It may
tomorrow?
be suspiciously placed in proximity to people or valuable assets.
What
and
do
it
you
could
do?
have characteristics like wires, electronics,
Why
or
do you
unusual
need to know the
sounds,
difference?
powders, or odors. Why does it matter that you can tell the difference? Because it changes the way you should react. If it's suspicious, you need to act fast and decisively. Notify proper authorities and call 911. If it's an unattended item, you can take a little more time with your response. Use the HOT acronym to help make the determination. Ask yourself, is the item hot? H, hidden. Is the item placed out of sight? Or does it appear to have been purposely concealed? O, obviously suspicious. Does it have unexplainable wires or electronics or other bomb-like components? T, not typical. Is the item out of place for this location or potentially related to a threat? If the answer is yes to any of these, consider the item suspicious. In either case, you need to exercise caution.
Okay, so there is a difference between just unattended, which 99.9999% of the things on your bus, that's what they are. But before you just assume that somebody left it, take a few moments and see if it is suspicious to you, because you know what should be on your bus. So does it have wires coming out of it? Does it have a chemical smell like nail polish remover, smell like acetone? Does it say bomb on the side? Is it suspicious? Think of that, H-O-T, hot. Is it hidden? Is it obviously suspicious? And is it typical? Should that be there? Backpack on your bus could possibly be there if somebody forgot it. But if you checked the night before and there was nothing there and something there the next day, maybe that's suspicious. But if the night before you were in a hurry and all you were really doing was hitting the button in the back so that your alarms don't go off when you leave the bus, maybe I didn't look as good, so maybe it's still just unattended. Take a few moments to think about it. Okay, so unattended, suspicious. What about people? What makes people suspicious? Somewhere where they shouldn't be, the way they act, way they're dressed. And by when you say way they dress, what do you mean? If we're in this part of the country and they're wearing Louisville Cardinal stuff, that's suspicious, right? But then this school is Cardinals, isn't it? I thought. Well. But yeah, you know, if they're riding your bus today and they're dressing like they're at the North Pole, that's probably going to be suspicious when it's, 95 degrees outside. At least make you think. How about if they are an adult trying to get on your school bus? Does that make them suspicious? Are they allowed on your bus? Okay. So, to keep them off your bus, you turn on that security system, right? You close the door. Go ahead.
Newly released video and 911 calls of a harrowing ordeal on board a school bus. A man with a knife allegedly hijacking the vehicle packed with children, leading police in Arkansas on a 20-minute chase last month. Kids and driver safely rescued. ABC's Gio Benitez has a story.
Watch the dramatic, newly released video captured on police dash cam. Kids escaping a school bus, allegedly hijacked by a knife-wielding man. Just minutes earlier, a frantic woman had dialed 911.
He got on the school bus with a knife with the bus driver and is driving down North Martin Street.
Police chased that bus with 11 elementary school children on board. The driver describing the terror inside.
He flipped the knife out and he said, drive. Shut the door and drive. And that's what I did. I said, okay, where do you want to go? What's wrong?
The 911 caller on the street tries to keep calm.
I'm so scared. It's okay, just calm down, okay? He was some crazy freaking guy the other night.
He didn't even want me to stop the bus. He wanted me to switch with him while the bus was rolling. And I said, no, we can't do that.
Police in Jacksonville, Arkansas chased the bus for some 12 miles until they stopped it. Those little kids run out one by one, rushing to safety.
Poor girl told me she was scared, and I told her it was going to be okay.
Police surround the bus and arrest 22-year-old Nicholas Miller. Law enforcement telling ABC News overnight, Miller told them he took the bus because he felt somebody was after him. He's pleaded not guilty to 22 charges, including kidnapping. This morning, that bus driver of 20 years hailed as a hero. She certainly is. Nicholas Miller's father, by the way, told us his son is a great kid who wasn't trying to hurt anyone, but he acknowledged that Miller is addicted to drugs. He'll face a judge in January. Robin, just imagine, these kids were on their way to school.
Yeah, that's right. Didn't get quick acting. All right, Gio, thanks very much.
Okay, so that's a real news story. That actually happened in Jacksonville, Arkansas. I believe it was 2013, so it's been about 12 years or so. But it could still happen today. So you listen to the news, and you're kind of wondering, how'd this happen? But you hear things about, it was packed with school kids. And then the guy comes on and tells you there were 11. So what do you believe? What really happened? You know, and then he says, just imagine, they were on their way to school. Somebody gets on your bus with a knife. Does it really matter where you're going? Just imagine, they're on their way to school. Could be on their way home. Could be on their way to a football game. Just trying to tell you things. And then she says at the end, quick acting. Because she got all of that watching that same video you did. Now, they can say the driver's a hero, and I won't dispute it. Everybody got off uninjured. That's kind of the goal. But I'm going to show the actual bus video, and you as a driver.
Keep driving straight.
No, what happened?
Drive straight.
Okay.
You just drive straight. Close this door. Go.
Okay.
Thank you.
What?
You tell me, is anybody on this bus?
No.
Huh?
Anybody? Just the children.
Just the children?
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
It is. It's just the kids.
Don't worry, I ain't gonna hurt you, man. I'm looking out for my own safety right now. No, then I just, pissed off the wrong person. Y'all kids, don't ever fucking be like me. Stay away from drugs. Honest to God.
Where are you trying to go? Because I can't think of it.
I want you to turn around and get back on the freeway.
I can't.
Well, some shit, you want me to drive?
No.
Just get that down.
Okay, no, I
know how to drive. I ain't gonna hurt you. Ain't nothing gonna happen to y'all children. Don't pick up 2412 program. He's alright. He told me to go on the bus. I want you to go on and get on that freeway. As a matter of fact, once you just go on, you go all the way back and you let me drive. I know how to drive this. Come on, don't stop.
I can't.
I got the wheel, look. Just get up and go.
Can I get out? No, you can swing. I'm sorry.
Get up. Can I just let you have a bunch of minute kids get out? Just stand up. Okay. Can I take the kids out? Yeah, as soon as you move out my way. Okay. Move out my way. Can I please take them out? No. You should please. Please let the children out, okay? Please. Can you please let the kids out? Can you show me how to push and drive? Right here. Can you please let us? I'm sorry. Can I please take the children out? No. Please. I'm not going to hurt y'all. But you know what? If you let the kids out, if you want the kids out, you tell me who's out the homeless person side of these kids and I'll let y'all go. Right here, that's it. There's nobody else on this side. Nobody else, I promise you. If you let us out, okay? Sweetie, let me talk, okay? If you just let us out. What school do they go?
Okay, it goes on for about 5 more minutes or so of basically him just driving the bus, but as a bus driver, I don't really think you need to see what that looks like. So, what questions do you have? Comments? What if her school district said, because that's a stop, and somebody didn't get on the bus one day, and they called into the school and said, you didn't pick my angel up, and you didn't even open the door at the stop. So then what happens? The district come out and said, okay, new policy. If it's a stop, you stop and you open the door. And when we find places that even in Kentucky that have those policies, we recommend to the people above you, they need to get rid of it. Why? That's half your security every time you open the door. So, maybe you had to open the door. But unless you're counting the green shirts, if you're paying attention to what's going on around you, what should you have seen? Walked right in front of the bus, right? But you have to be paying attention to see that, right? Anybody see the 911 caller that was frantic through those cameras? I didn't either. So somebody on the outside, to me, saw more than somebody sitting right there where they walked in front of them. Because if you could tell from the volume, as he started to come up the steps, she started to greet him. She said, hello, hey! To me, right then, that was the first time she saw that individual. Not paying attention to what was going on around her. Got her security system turned off and not paying attention. Now, if that's just an adult walking across in front of your bus and your bus has the door open, what can you do? Close the door. Can they open the door when it's closed? They can, but it's not as easy as when it's open, right? So that gives you time to do other things like leave, right? So you pay attention to what's going on around you. You pay attention. Okay, say you can't stop him from getting on your bus. He gets on the bus, he's got a knife. What do you do? You know, those are options. But you could also do exactly what he says. Like I said, everybody got off okay. So somebody with a knife at that moment, maybe driving is okay. But then what did he do with the knife? Put it in his back pocket, right? Okay, so now I've got the bus moving, and he's standing on the steps. What can you do? You know, there are things that could happen that could result in different outcomes, correct? You know? But maybe you're thinking, you know, I could hit the brakes, or I could open the door and turn real quick. But what happens if that doesn't get the result that you were hoping for? Now you've just made him mad, right? So maybe you don't want to do that. Said, these are all personal choices. There's no right or wrongs. We're just having a discussion about options. So you decide to drive, and he says, let me drive. And you say, can I get the kids off the bus? What are you doing? You're negotiating. Let me drive. Let me get the kids off. So he says, yes. So she stops the bus, starts to get up. As she's getting up, and he's starting to sit down, he says, can I get the kids off the bus? What's he say? What's he say? He says, no. What are they doing now? They're renegotiating, right? Changing the terms. So, then, what did he say? How do you put this in drive? And her response was what? Before that. Before that, what did she do? She stopped negotiating, right? All she did was show him how to put it in drive. Where's the negotiation? Can I get the kids off the bus? Yes. Can I get the kids off the bus? No. How do you put it in drive? Can I get the kids off the bus? Because if he says yes, you take the kids off the bus, you get off the bus, do you care where he goes with that bus? I don't care where he goes with that bus. That's a big yellow thing. He's not going to get far. Somebody's going to find him. I don't care where he goes with that bus if everybody's off of it. They got more. I'm sure there's a spare around here somewhere. So, don't give up the leverage that you might have. Let me get the kids off the bus. So, okay, because of what was going on, that didn't enter your mind because we didn't have this discussion. You didn't think about it beforehand. So you showed him how to put it in drive. What else could you do? You could tell him, he says, how do you put it in drive? You say, bus won't move unless you have your seatbelt on. Is that true? No. Does he know that? Maybe not. He don't know how to put it in drive. I do know that. So I know until it's put in drive for him or he's told how, or he starts pushing stuff trying to figure it out, that bus isn't going anywhere. So if you tell him to put a seatbelt on, and he probably would because, like his dad said, he's a great kid. Now, he's strapped in the seat. Where's his weapon? In his back pocket. And he's sitting on it, strapped in the seat. I don't know. Maybe you could grab a hold of that shoulder strap and just drop all your body weight on it and say what? You practice it 4 times a year. Yeah, evacuation. How do you get the kids off the bus? You tell them to get off the bus, right? So if you grab a hold of that shoulder strap and say, get off the bus, I'm not really worried that he's going to run them over while they're getting off the bus because I know that he don't know how to put it in drive. So there's options Think about what's going on. The main focus is to pay attention to what's going on around you, because we don't want him to be able to get on the bus, at least not as easy as he did here, right? You know, just walk right across. And you know, believe me, it's easy to get on your bus because there's all kinds of things going on. So you have to pay attention and be ready to act.
Here's your challenge. How many times is the yellow backpack passed? Go.
How many times? 14. I think I heard a 19 somewhere. 16. Okay, what else did you see? A tie? I've seen this video probably 50 to 100 times. I'm not disputing anything you say because people tell me stuff they see all the time. I don't know whether it's there or not. You might have seen it. You might have made it up. I don't know. What else you see? A package. Somebody left a package. All right, let's look again. It's only 30 seconds.
Here's your challenge.
Some of you might want to use your toes.
How many
this time when you
times is
count.
the yellow backpack passed? Go. So the yellow backpack was passed 17 times. But how aware were you? Did you notice that our scene moved outside? What about the student who put on a hat and switched books? Or the woman dropping the suspicious package? Sometimes it's easy to miss the obvious. Your next challenge, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
So, like he said, sometimes it's easy to miss the obvious. That's why we say, pay attention to what's going on around you. Be aware of what's going on around you. If you're driving your bus outside, and all of a sudden you discover you're driving your bus inside, I would hope that would be something obvious that you would be aware of. But pay attention to what's going on. Now, I've had just 2 videos left for you. The first one is going to have 2 different endings, but we'll talk about which is right or wrong.
Good morning, Addison.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, great.
Who is that guy? I don't know. I haven't seen him before. Oh my God.
To 103. stop in Augusta Woods, the Collins house, because there's a suspicious character lurking around. I'm not going to endanger the rest of the kids. I need some help, please. Come on, hurry up, get on. Sir, can I help you? Sir.
Okay, so first or second one? First one. Why? Why? You saw somebody standing by a pickup truck at your bus stop. Okay, so that's not normal. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for what's not normal, and we're paying attention to what's going on. So, he passed up the first one. He radioed in and said what? You know, I'm this bus. I'm passing my third stop. I need some help out of here, right? So he went on by. What'd the guy in the pickup truck do? Followed him. So if the last thing he did was the radio transmission you heard, where's his help coming? To the third stop, right? So, while you're paying attention to what's going on, you want to be on that radio and say, hey, I passed up my third stop, now they're following me. That's where you need the help at, right? You don't need it at the third stop anymore. They'll show up at the third stop. It's like, I see two kids standing here. What's the problem? So what if he's just a contractor to work on one of those houses there, and he's waiting for the boss to show up so he can start working? It's an option. Come back around later. Are you worried about him being with those two kids? Yeah. But he's been with those two kids. If that was his own intent, he's been there, right? This is just how you have to talk yourself into things. Because some say, hey, I can't leave those two kids. And if that's what you think, what could you do different than what he did in the second scenario? Close the door faster. Maybe stop back further. Make the kids come further, but that also makes that person you have concerns about have to go farther, right? So, if I was to look through your bus driver handbook or standard operating procedures, whatever you might have, when would it tell me, if I was a new bus driver and I wanted to know, I'm at a stop, when do I close the door? As soon as they get on. And what do you mean by on? Okay. When would I move the bus? When they're seated. And that's your normal procedures. Guy coming at your bus like this, is that normal? So when can I close that door? It would be no problem for that door to be hitting that kid as he's coming through it, right? And that bus will move with that door open, correct? So you don't have to wait until they sit down to move that bus. You don't have to wait until you close the door till you move the bus. You have to set the brake when you come to a stop, correct? If you're stopping back further because something's not right, would it be okay if you didn't set the brake? So you didn't have to take it off. So you pay attention to what's going on around you. Be prepared to act. This one will have 3 different endings.
Hey, are you guys ready for that history quiz today?
There's a history quiz today?
Well, I was doing the packet last night, yeah, but I fell asleep.
Yeah, I was running really late.
Well, we can study on the bus.
So what's his problem?
I mean, I don't really know him that well, but he's been acting a little weird lately.
It's kind of creeping me out. Well,
Don't, just stop talking about it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
good morning.
Good morning, guys. Come on, hurry up. Is everything all right?
And so she starts talking about his name. With both of us
Okay. Who thinks the first one's the right thing to do? Why not? Why not? Guy on your bus shooting a gun. Why not run? What? Well, they're not his kids.
They are when they're in your care.
Okay. Well, that will make a difference then. 2 and 3, that's kind of the same thing, right? Go is to what? Get them off their feet kind of thing? Why would you do the evasive driving instead of just hitting the brakes? You know, there's still, maybe I'm not going fast enough. So if I hit the brakes, that may not give me what I want. So I'm going to speed up before I hit the brakes. But what, doing when I'm speeding up, do I want to drive in a straight line? No, you get that bus rocking. It's hard to aim when you're trying to aim this way or when you're on the floor. So why did you let him on the bus to begin with? The video before, you drove right past a guy with the hood on. Looked like a student. She said he was a student. How do you know he was a student? He called him Josh, right? And what did he say to Josh when he got on? Everything all right? Wonder why he said that. He didn't say it to the other people that got on, did he? He wasn't his usual self. There was something different about Josh. So Josh doesn't answer. He goes to the back. Teenager, right? So what do you do at that point? If you have concerns with this individual getting on your bus, and you ask them if everything's all right, and they don't answer, and they just go on to the back of the bus, what do you do? Have Josh come up and sit by you. Bring the guy with the gun up and have him sit right next to you. Because we don't know he's got a gun, do we? No. So there's things you can do. But Josh may answer you. And Josh could just say, I got into it with my mom last night. I didn't sleep very well. Plausible excuse, maybe, right? So you let Josh go to the back. But this wasn't how Josh normally is. Something was different. So now maybe when you're driving a little more this way than you are this way, right? You're paying attention. So if Josh stands up on the bus like this, and you're driving more this way, what can you do? Hit the brakes, right? And Josh might have been standing up with his cell phone to hand it 2 rows up, and you hit the brakes. What do? You look down and say, sorry, Josh. That's why you don't stand up on the bus, right? We have rules in place. You know, if you want it to be on the video, when they look later, you say, squirrel or dog. But you pay attention to what's going on around you. Somebody gets on your bus and you're concerned enough to ask them if they're okay because something is different than how they are every other day they get on their bus. Act on it. So let's say Josh gets on your bus just like he did, but he never stands up. That part never happens. You get everybody to school, you drop them off. What do? Report it. To who? Let a principal know. If there's administrators that meet the buses, you tell somebody, right? What do you tell them? Josh is going to shoot the school up. You might want to do something about him. No, you don't know that. You tell them, Josh isn't Josh. This isn't how Josh normally acts. There's something different. That's all you know. He never stood up with the gun. We don't know that part anymore. Why do you take him? You know, but that's the whole thing. Because you don't know. Has there ever been a school shooting? Yeah. And how do they get to school? They never tell you. You never know. Unless they're like a 22-year-old that used to go to school here and they talk about them drove and they found this in their car or whatever. But if a student, they never tell you how they got to school. What if that person rode the bus And that driver noticed that they weren't acting the same way they do every other day, but didn't tell anybody. So you get there and you say, hey, Josh isn't being Josh. That's all I know. That's all I'm telling them because that's all I know. But something wasn't right. And if I tell you, and you don't give it the same consideration or greater than I gave it, I'm going to tell somebody else. I'm going to radio back to the garage, talk to the director. I'm going to say, hey, I told the principal, they didn't seem to care. They said, oh, we get kids like that all the time. That's not good enough for me. So until I'm satisfied that who I'm reporting to gives it the same or greater consideration than I'm thinking, I'm going to keep telling somebody until I'm satisfied. Because if you were to say to the principal that Josh wasn't being Josh, and they took him into the office, counselors, school resource officers, whatever, and Josh was just having a bad day, is that okay? I can live with that. I'm okay with that. But if Josh is not being Josh, and I just let him off at school, and I go on and go to lunch, or go home, go to my next route, and Josh starts shooting up the school, is that something I want to live with? You know, you see the people on the news all the time. Stuff happens. Oh, yeah, they were this, they were this. Oh, they were quiet neighbors, never had any problems. And then they talked to somebody and said, oh, yeah, those people were whack. They were doing it. You know, why didn't you say something? If something causes the hair on the back of your neck to stand up, something doesn't seem right, tell somebody. And keep telling until you're satisfied your concerns were heard. So, that's all I got. Hopefully, it makes you think a little. I'm not trying to scare you, just trying to make you aware what's going on around you, because you have all kinds of stuff going on around you. You do pre-trip checks every day. Do you do a paper checklist here still? Okay. Everything on that checklist is safety related. Not one thing is security related. So, without doing anything extra, I'm going to ask you in your mind to add to that safety checklist. And if you see something on your bus that shouldn't be there, if it's unattended, do what you do. If it's suspicious, tell somebody. I'm not asking you to spend another 30 minutes checking your bus. You're checking it anyway. You're walking around it, you're walking through it, you're checking the lights. You know, open the back door, look under the seats. It's not that difficult. I know it might be dark, but it's not that difficult. You're doing it anyway. Something's on your bus, it shouldn't be there. Let somebody know. Okay? Any questions, comments, stories? That's all I got. And like I said, we don't charge for any of this. So hopefully you get something out of it. It'll make you think. But not, hey, look at it this way. You got what you paid for.
All right, super job, and we really appreciate that, and we have to be aware for sure. All right, so one thing I'm going to do real quick here is, since I believe we've got everybody, may have to revisit this tomorrow, but I'm going to, okay. what I would suggest, if there is a suspicious backpack on your bus, and I'll just use a really obvious, it's a bright pink backpack and you don't recall seeing a kid get on the bus with a bright pink backpack. And that shouldn't be here, just like Michael said. I would report it. Go ahead, never mind. I don't know of a policy that says if someone leaves a backpack on a bus, we can't open it. Now, if it's attached or a kid's got a backpack, that's different because they have possession. With no one in possession of the backpack, there's no policy says that you can't unzip it to try to look for a book that's got a name on it, something that would, some kind of identification. But well, I've got a scenario that I had personally when I was driving. I was running the route out of Hunter Hills. I had a report. Thanks, fellas. Did a great job. We appreciate you. We had a report. They told me, I can't remember the kid's name. I wouldn't say it anyway. I'll just use Johnny. Said, Johnny has got a gun in his backpack. Well, I knew Johnny was a first grader. So I thought to myself, probably pretty safe to go back and confront Johnny myself. I called in on the radio. I don't remember if we didn't have the codes at that time, but I called in to Claude and said, I've got a possible weapon. I went back to Johnny. I said, Johnny, let me look in your backpack. And he opened his backpack up, and sure enough, there was a gun, a foam gun. It was a toy. I said, give me that thing. And I took it up with me, and when I reported back what happened. So just like what they were talking about, according to the situation, we may have a report of a gun. If it's a first grader, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you how I reacted to that. Each situation, and I hope none of us obviously ever encounter even a toy gun on the bus. But you've got to use your own personal judgment, because here's the simple fact. You're the only person there, and it's going to take probably 5 minutes for us to get some help to you. So in that time frame from when you make the discovery or have the suspicion until help arrives, you're going to have to manage that situation yourself. Okay? I'm not saying go tackle a first grader. I felt comfortable enough to do that because I knew the child. I wasn't threatened by the fact that Johnny had a gun. But always pay attention to what your kids tell you, because I could have disregarded that and it could have been a real gun. So you're just going to have to follow the procedure and use common sense. Just like I think Larry said up there, if we have any of those, and if you remember, and we'll do a little review from what John says, what's an emergency code? If you can't remember all of the last digits, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what's the first digit of an emergency code like that? It's a 100. So you call in on the radio, I've got a code 100. That's going to alert me to contact authorities. As soon as I hear code 100, the next thing I'm doing is calling the police. Okay? I'm getting your location. And the other people that's working dispatch with me or Marshall will do the same. They will be people listening to the radio. There's going to be people on the phone getting a hold of the police coming to you. So just know that fact. You're going to be by yourself on that bus in that situation for a short period of time, so you're going to have to manage a short period of time. And what the examples given, and like Ms. Schulten went over here with us, you're going to have to use your own judgment. Nobody can give you every scenario and what action to take. You're going to have to do that, and that's part of being a professional driver. Because as others had mentioned all throughout this, kids' safety is our number one priority. I would hope none of us would be like, what do they call him, Bailing Bob, whenever he stopped the bus and rolled out. But we were going to have, and it's uncomfortable. I get it. It's uncomfortable to think about those things, but listen, not thinking about them is not a solution. If you just have a plan, it may be a bad plan, but guess what? It's a plan, okay? I would rather have a bad plan than no plan. At least you're thinking about it and trying to do something about a situation. And let's just hope and pray that we never face that. But it's possible. So you have to keep that in mind. Good questions. Anybody else? All right. I'm going to give out some service pins, and let me just go ahead and say this. Not all of my pins came in. So there is a couple of the 5-year people I'm going to recognize. I just don't have your pen to give out to you today, but I will get it to you. And then I think I've got missing one other pen. So, and then after we do this recognition on the years of service and perfect attendance, then we'll take a break. And then after the break, I believe DD will be up next. So, all right. So as I mentioned, as I call your name, if you would, please come down in front of Marshall there. At least I won't make you walk all the way down. All right. 5-year service, Jack Benge, Linda Mold, and Michael Hall. If you guys would come on now. 5 years. Michael, thank you, sir. All right, one more round of applause for our 5-year employees. All right, 10 years. I do have pins for you folks. Just come on down to the stage here. Dennis Wombles. Noah Browning. Is Noah here today? Okay, he's up at the shop. We'll get that to him. Sandra Tyree. Kay Higginbotham. And Larry Walden. And James Higginbotham. So if you'll all come down. Where's she at? Huh? I know she's here. Well, then she's... I'm sorry.
She had a surprise student.
All right, and we have two 15-year pins. Our 15-year employees is Larry Harms and Roger Conrad. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Roger. All righty. 25-year pin. We have one recipient of a 25-year pin this year, and that is Tammy Sizemore. All right, and that leaves us with perfect attendance. So these employees had perfect attendance last year. So as I call your name, if you come on down, David Mosley, Brady Height, Brittany Snyder, and Greg Wilson all had perfect attendance. All right, so I did miss a couple of people. 10-year man also on that is Chris Setters. So let's give Chris a little round of applause. And also perfect attendance, Dave Ramsey. Your pins are forthwith coming. All right, so do we have any questions, anything before I turn you loose for break concerning bus safety, emergency procedures, anything like that? Again, as John went over yesterday, if you can't remember the 2, 3, 4, 5, just remember code 100. Code 100 basically gets the cavalry coming to you. And I would rather, and I know this from our SROs and from our law enforcement, we would rather respond to a nothing than to not come to a something. So if there's a suspicion and you feel that it is a legitimate suspicion of a knife, a gun, a bomb, Code 100, and follow the procedure. I forget who it was that talked about it, but just remember, if you have that suspicion and you're out on the route, do not come to school. Act like you've got a problem with the bus. You can say, Code 100, I've got transmission trouble. I'm going to be pulling over in front of Levi Jackson State Park. And that doesn't sound suspicious to anybody on the bus, but we know exactly what you're talking about. I've got a dangerous situation. I'm pulling over. The bus is going to be located near the entrance of Levi Jackson State Park. That gives me two critical pieces of information. First, the situation. Second, where to send the help. Questions, comments, anything? Yep, Pat.
One of the things that we talk about when we go to the training on it is the fact that, you know, as Rob was saying, in his situation, even for me, if I had a middle schooler that I had before that had a gun in their backpack, I would take the maintenance issue. I may even say I'm walking back to the back and check it. And if it's a middle schooler that I know, as I go by, I can grab that backpack. For me, I'm comfortable doing it. Some drivers in here, I would never suggest that. You put yourself and other people in danger. But what you might want to consider doing is saying that whatever the maintenance issue is, we need to do an evacuation if you're in a safe location to do that. And you tell them that you need to get off the bus and leave all of your belongings on the bus. Now, if that kid that's supposed to have a gun picks up his backpack to go out with it, now, as it's coming to the door, you've got at least half the kids off the bus or whatever, you've just reduced the number of people that are involved. So, as well, it's all, you have to decide what the circumstances you're dealing with, what's the best thing to do. I've heard about make the comment, you know, we got fire extinguishers there. That they make a weapon, okay? Now, I'm suggesting that, but I'm just saying, we have to make a decision what's the best thing to do to keep the kids, as many kids safe as we can. So, taking that and having to do an evacuation, leave their backpack, hopefully you can now separate that kid from that possible weapon, and when the police get there, they can come and shoot the backpack. That's just one thing we go through the line.
Thank you, Pat. Anybody else? Right. Listen, I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect, okay? They apparently did not deem the backpack to be a threat. I'm lost at why they left it on there, since that was the object of intense scrutiny, but it just is what it is. Any other questions? All right, let's take 15 minutes, and I want everybody back in the seat, 9:45 till 10.